What's up guys, and welcome back to another episode of Club and Country. It's episode number 34 and we're starting today's episode off by officially ending last season. We look at what happened in the European Championships in 2024, where as you could see, Germany would make it through their group as runners-up, then make it through the quarterfinal stage, beating France in a 7-goal thriller, but were knocked out in the semis by Belgium, who were eventually beaten by the winners, Italy, 2-1 in the finals. So I've said it before and I'll say it again, German FA, you've got my number. Like, come on now, give me a call, tell me the job is mine, I'll lead you to international success in the next tournament. Come on, man, you took 4 of my players to the European Championship. They didn't let you down. They didn't let you down. It was the poor managerial skills, the poor tactics. Yeah, it's time to give me a call. But anyway, as we do officially end Season 4 on the back of an incredible season with Dynamo Dresden winning the Bundesliga title, we officially begin Season 5 today as a brand new season begins with Dresden as we try and defend our Bundesliga title. Whereas we take a look at our budget for Season 5, as you can see, we've got over £100 million to play with in the summer transfer window. It's about 110 million the board have given us, but as we know, due to wage budget alteration, it's probably more likely to be around 102 to 104 million pounds, which is still over 100 million pounds. Amazing budget given to us by the board, but the expectations have been lifted on us this season. Now, the league expectation is poor. Finish in Europa League spot. Are you serious? We won the title last year, but DFB Pokal reached around a 16, haven't got there yet due to our poor performance in the cup. I'd love for us this year to have a good domestic cup run for the first time in the save, and in the Champions League, we got to reach the quarterfinals in just our second season in Europe. Last year, of course, got through the group, knocked out in the last 16 by Liverpool, who, if I remember correctly, got to the final. I think it was the final they got to last year. So, yeah, we got to reach the quarterfinals of the Champions League and go one stage further than we did last season. Doable? Definitely doable. I'm really surprised the domestic objectives are so easy, to be honest. I mean, I say that, I haven't hit the cup objective yet, so I don't know why I'm saying that. But the league objective, after winning the title last year, I don't know why it's so low. I guess it's just because of the star rating of our team not being as high as some of the others in the league. We are still a 4.5 star team right now, though I do believe at some point this season we'll bump that up to the maximum 5 star. But it's still kind of surprising, you know, you'd think that the board would sort of take into consideration what happened last season when setting out your objectives for the current season, but I guess that doesn't happen in FIFA career mode as you'd expect it to in real life. Regardless, as I do run you through the squad for Season 5 with Dynamo Dresden, the one thing you'll be noticing as I run you through the side is that you'll see the common phrase next to the status of, I would say, about a third of our team. Contract expiring in 12 months. Yeah, we have got a ton of players, just 1 year left on their deal. You'll see some potential changes this year as well. Marvin Schaefer is now an exciting prospect. Delighted with that. I love Schaefer. Said it before, I don't know exactly why, but he's one of my favourite players in this team. Yanis has had his potential decrease to just showing great potential. Mentioned that before. Oftentimes, just when you promote a player towards the end of a season, they'll have a potential decrease, which is always so frustrating, but nothing you can do about it really if the youth player is unsettled. And the biggest potential change comes right here. Gadikli, potential to be special. There you go, 21 years old. No wonder I stopped on him there. Potential to be special. It's crazy when we signed him. I didn't think much to him at first, but the past 2 years, he's been a back-to-back assist title winner in the Bundesliga. And it really is so ironic, because you take a look at the players, their deals that come to the end of the year here. So many players, their contracts expire in 12 months. I am going to sell quite a lot of these players, particularly some of the youngsters that don't show much potential, if any potential at all. But yeah, it's kind of ironic, because if you remember at the start with when we signed Gadikli, I was like, oh, this guy's a pure goal scorer, man. Like, he's all about getting the goals. And instead, he's been all about the assists, being a support striker for Ramsey Duval. But yeah, you see the players I gave contracts here to Finn Ole Becker and Ronnie Becker, Patrick Pfeiffer, Leo Kasper, a good academy graduate centre-half, and of course, the final player I gave a contract to, the fifth and final one, club captain, Mr. Dynamo Dresden, Ransford Yeboah, of course. So check a look at the players that I put on the transfer list here. Tons and tons of players getting put on the transfer list. David, the most senior member, just 24 years old. But yeah, loads of these players here, the deals that come at the end of the year, or just a really, really low rating. Because of how low their rating is now, they've got very little chance of succeeding here. even if their potential is not too bad. So yeah, with 50 members in our squad, that's close to the maximum you're allowed. We need to cull some of the players here that have no future whatsoever. So we've got enough squad space to bring new players in. And speaking of bringing new players in, speaking of new signings here with Dynamo Dresden, we're over £100 million in the transfer budget. Of course, I was going to splash as much of that cash as possible. And my number one target, well, just like last season, I thought, what's my Achilles heel in FIFA this year? What's the one thing I struggle with quite a lot? We know it, defending. Yeah, I'm not the best defender, even though ironically last year we did have the best defensive record in the Bundesliga. I still do concede a lot of sloppy goals, leak a lot of poor goals. So I thought, let's bring in one of the best German centre-halves in the game. Nicholas Saul, who's gone from Bayern Munich to RB Leipzig in the game, is on his way to us for £82.5 million, but I would say worth every single penny as he becomes our club record signing. 28 years old means he's in the prime of his career right now. 95 strength, 90 stand tackle, I think it's 85 slide tackle as well. Physically, this guy's an absolute beast. What I will say is this: we've got to get that acceleration up. 51 acceleration, that's very poor. Yes, that needs to be improved. So I'm going to need to stop a development plan, and you need to get him a little bit quicker, because when you play a 3 at the back system, yes, you've got 2 guys next to you that can help cover you, but really with no fullbacks or no wingbacks, you've got, yes, 2 wide midfielders that can operate as secondary fullbacks / wingbacks, but they've pushed up so far at the pitch, you need to have a little bit of pace. If you're slow off the mark and someone's in behind, good luck catching up Nicholas Saul with 51 acceleration. So yeah, I'm going to stop a development plan. Hopefully that'll increase quickly. That is my only concern with what is one of the best centre-halves in the game. So yeah, following out, we had loads and loads of bids here for some of our star players. Agu, Julian Gattal, Patrick Pfeiffer also wanted as well. Of course, we rejected all of these bids here. I find it's so interesting when you start a new season off. Maybe you guys have it the same as me, but I often find that even if you've got loads of players on the transfer list, as you do sell one of them here, Armindo Saib, who has gone, you often get bids for players that you don't have listed whatsoever. You're more likely to get bids for your more important players than players you're actively putting in the shop window and trying to push out the door. It's really strange, but regardless, we had another bid here for Ramsey Jabbar, 146.5 mil from Real Madrid, which we of course rejected, and accepted this bid here for Lavin Schaefer, one of our youngsters who got sold as well. And it was a bit for Diawusi as well, even though he doesn't play anymore. I didn't even need to think about this. Fan favourite, might not play much now, but we still love the guy to absolute pieces. But even so, obviously heading into this new season, I talked about it before last season as well. You know, we could have raised loads of money for all those sales there, you know, selling Gattal, selling Ransford Ybarra, selling Felix, and so on and so forth. But as I mentioned before last season, like, to me, this is when people ask me, like, how do you get the most out of your career mode saves? How do you make them last for so long? How do you keep them so fun and so entertaining for so long? I always say the exact same thing. Like, if you're doing an RTG, don't just cash in on the players that you've raised as kids and you've developed into stars. No, keep them. Keep them, trust me. Maybe sell 1 or 2 if you want to spice it up a little bit. For the most part, keep those players, because that is where the fun comes from an RTG, in my opinion. When you're developing a really poor team and making them a good one, you keep so many of those players that you had from humble beginnings that you developed into stars in the future. So yeah, we could have raised hundreds of millions of pounds over the past couple of years for the sales of, again, Albert Simon, Ransford Ybarra, of course, as well, and so on and so forth. But it's more than the money you can generate. It's like the development of those players from the very beginning. That is what makes the career mode saves so fun. When you remember how poor they were when you first had them to where they are now, it's all about the journey, you know. And again, that's one of my biggest tips for how to keep a career mode save fun. You know, don't just cash in on your youngsters that you develop from nowhere to be where they are right now. Because you think about the players we've got here, players like Ransford Ybarra and Julian Gattal, for example, they don't start off with that much potential, but due to all the game time we've given them and the good form they've been in, that's why they've grown so much. It's selling those players and then bringing in, you know, like star players or the typical or traditional wonder kids, if you will. Obviously, it's a club and country sales, so it's a bit different in this one, but that to me is where I think a lot of people go wrong. You know, they sign the overused players and the players who you know are going to be stars, as opposed to developing young talents who may not have much potential to begin with, but due to the game time you give them and the development they have, the good form they have, that's when they turn into stars, and that's what makes a career mode save unique. You know, no one at the start of this save would have thought that Julian Gattal, for example, example, was going to be one of the stars of this team. But again, that's one of the reasons why career mode can be so fun sometimes, when you develop players who don't have much of a reputation or perceived to have much potential, and they become stars and world beaters as the years go by. So with the first and only game of today's episode here, we would take on Borussia Dortmund in the Super Cup. Obviously this is like the German version of the Community Shield in England, and to be honest, like I always say this when I play this, whether it's FIFA or FM, man, it's a bit of a glorified friendly, but I always say it's so funny, and yes, I know I am a bit of a hypocrite. It's nice to win it when you do win it, but if you lose, you shouldn't feel too bad about it, really. So it's very little pressure when I play the games. Albert Simon scored our first goal, but then 11 minutes after the restart, this was really frustrating. Gave away a penalty, but I didn't mean to do this. Sasha Hubner made a really good save, and then with Bella Kotchap here, I didn't realise I was controlling him. As the ball was going to Marvin Schaefer, I was going to try and lob past the ball away with a square button, and in the end I slid in with Bella Kotchap and took the man down, who was nowhere near the ball. So stupid from me, not for the first time you see me do something stupid like that. Gave away a stupid penalty, totally accidental, but either way, Haaland converts it in off the post despite Hubner going the right way, as Dortmund get themselves back on level terms. But despite them finding the leveller, I felt we'd get ourselves back in front not before long, as we were the better team in this game. And 64 minutes in, well, I just mentioned him a moment ago, this guy's turned into a star from nowhere. Julian Gottal makes it 2-1, restores our lead, and then in stoppage time, Gadiq Lee, now with the potential to be special, wraps up the game, makes it 3-1, as we get the win at the Signal Iduna Park and start the season off with a trophy. And yes, I know it's a glorified friendly, but it's still some silverware, and it's still nice to start off with a win. So 3 on the final score there. Pretty convincing win as well. Yes, I gave away a stupid penalty which Haaland converted, but other than that, really didn't feel much pressure. Felt we were the far better team, certainly deserved it, and did as well. So 3 on the final score. Clearly my defence is still pretty poor at times, and I do make some very rash and stupid decisions, but I know we'd always score goals, and that was no different in this game as well. 3 on the final score, and we do start the new season off with a win with Dynamo Dresden and our first ever Super Cup as well. But that was this episode of Club and Country, guys. A big thank you for watching. Hope you have enjoyed the season opening. If you have, then please do drop a like. Much love to you all. Have a fantastic day, and don't forget, it's the third of our 4 videos this weekend. We're going to have a quadruple upload weekend, and we'll have the second episode of the brand new season with the Champions League group stage draw with Dynamo Dresden and a transfer deadline day signing as well, coming out in the very next episode very soon.